things I have seen I've really not been very impressed by. Really not very impressed, to be honest. Here I am, sat in front of a computer, filming a video, and here you are, sat in front of a screen of some kind, watching my video that I'm currently filming, but in the future. On the agenda today, a couple of things. Number one, haven't done TikTok video for a while, so figured, you know what, let's have a look at what's occurring in the realm of fitness TikTok, and let's see how fruity it is today. In addition to that, I forgot to plug this in the last few videos, but I'm remembering now. If you're unaware, I actually created a program template, essentially helps you structure your own training depending on your goals, as well as gives you some decent information surrounding how one could structure an effective workout plan. The link to the free download, emphasis on the free, I'm writing free with my fingers there, but I've actually messed up, so I'm just scribbling, is linked down below in the description. Very good, send it to whoever you want, send it to your friends, send it to yourself, who knows, send it to me, I'll download it. Video time, which means hair, head, hat, headwear. What are we saying about this? You know, business in the front, wait for it, party in the back. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Wow, Harry, you really are an icon. I hate to admit it, but I think you may be correct. I should put this on my CV, fashion icon. Now, I'll tell you a funny thing. My school yearbook actually said most likely to be a fashion icon. It didn't, but I wish it did because I am one. Just saying. The old TikTok, we're going to talk about some fitness things on the TikTok. We're going to kick off strong with somebody who I'm actually due to cover either in the next video or the one after, who knows, but very soon. And that is CollegeCleanEating, aka Katrina Wright. Quad focus leg day. We love to see it. I do love a leg day, and quad focus one's pretty solid as well. 3x8 front squats. Let's have a gander. Depth is solid. It's usually a bit easier to hit depth with the front squat due to bar placement, torso angle, things along those lines. As you can see, she's squatting with no shoes, probably because she may have brought trainers to the gym with her, and we all know the soft squidgy trainers are not a good thing when it comes to squatting. If you want to wear, the front squat is actually a more quad dominant squat variation than the typical back squat. It's a good movement, and it's a bloody hard movement as well. So if you can front squat heavy, I respect it, because when I do so, it makes me feel like my head is about to explode. Walking lunges, superset with dumbbell glute bridges. Walking lunges, big yes. Dumbbell glute bridges, I would prefer a barbell. And I say this because with either a glute bridge or a hip thrust, you are likely going to shift a fair amount of weight. It is unlikely that a dumbbell will be heavy enough for you, so although I do understand it is supersetted, therefore you will be a bit more fatigued when it comes around to doing the glute bridge, and obviously the walking lunges are a fantastic movement for both the quads and the glutes. I feel like a barbell may be better suited because you could probably load up there a bit heavier on the barbell. It makes you question whether using a dumbbell may actually be limiting your ability to progressively overload, which we know is a fundamental principle when building muscle mass. 3x10 leg extensions plus 12 close stance leg press. Yeah, again, with most things, when the stance is narrower or closer, you are more than likely placing greater emphasis on the quads. Leg extension, obviously a fantastic movement for the quads. Leg press, also a fantastic movement for the lower body in general. The way she's kind of sets up going isolation to compound is what we call pre-exhausting. So you do an isolation movement, one that basically places mass amounts of emphasis on a muscle group, being the quads, followed by a compound movement, which utilizes more muscle groups. When you're leg pressing, the glutes and the hamstrings are getting involved as well. You then perform an isolation movement to really burn out and fatigue the muscle you're looking to place greater emphasis on before going into a compound movement to then almost finish it off in that sense. Personally, when looking at pre-exhaust supersets, I think it's a time and a place. I don't often superset unless I'm really pushed for time, as I tend to try and keep movements separate to allow me to then utilize and shift as much weight as possible on each of those movements respectively. Progressive overload ceiling is higher, and that's what we want because I'm trying to get big fat juicy gains. Goblet squats, again very similar to the front squat, very quad dominant, or at least places more emphasis on the quads. Solid workout, bloody impressed, which also means I'm expecting big things when it comes to the deep dive that will be occurring soon. I'm shaking your hand. Good stuff, Katrina. Intermission time, 2 seconds. You heard that too. I'm not going crazy. That's a firework. Before we carry on with the rest of the video, I must ask a few favors, if you don't mind. If you are liking the video, please do consider liking the video. 500 likes is the goal, so we will shoot for that. We'll be bloody splendid if we can get there. If you haven't already, which I know many of you haven't, I'm watching you. I'm eyes like a hawk. Like a hawk. I know you're not doing it. I'm trying my best to convince you. Please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel, and maybe even the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. It means a lot lot to me, means the channel's growing. And then YouTube's obviously gonna see that, but like, oh, people are liking this channel, people are liking this content. So I'm gonna show this channel and content to more people. Then more people like it, more people join the TFNL family, and then YouTube's there like, you know what, be free my child, fly. If you don't want to subscribe to the channel for me, subscribe to the channel so YouTube can let me fly. On top of that, obviously, we have comment question of the week at the end of the video. So if you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week, and I shall do so. It can be about anything. It doesn't have to be training related. It can be personal. It can be literally anything, and I shall answer it at the end of the next video. But now, I won't interrupt you any further. We shall crack on with the rest of the video.
If anyone has ever told you to pull into retraction or depression before doing your benching or your pull downs, your rows, whatever, I'm going to tell you why you probably shouldn't be doing that and why it may be causing more harm than good.
This individual here, he does go on to speak about this in greater detail, and he's bloody solid when it comes to his training. I respect it. When you are doing a press movement, especially like a horizontal pressing movement, you want the shoulder blades to be back and down. Packing the scapula. We go back, down. So when you're bench pressing, for example, or dumbbell pressing perhaps, if your scapula is not packed, you are going to struggle and put yourself at greater risk of injury. Because if I am to bench, let's say for example, with my shoulder blades forward, I can get to here. That is my maximum range of motion. I cannot go lower than that. There's a lot of distance to cover before the bar touches my chest. As soon as I tuck my shoulder blades back and down, that then tucks my elbows in slightly, brings my chest up, reducing range of motion, but ensuring I'm still going through the full range of motion. And I've now gone from here to here. That's pretty aligned. I'm pretty close to touching my chest right there. Because realistically, if you're benching, you're probably going to touch your chest anyway. If you're going to get to that point naturally and comfortably, you have to force your body through a very uncomfortable range of motion and potentially dangerous range of motion to touch your chest. Whereas you can allow yourself to retract and pack the scapula, thus decreasing the distance between the bar and the chest comfortably and naturally, much safer for you, and you're likely also going to shift more weight, which is exactly what we want to see. So when anyone says to you, don't tuck shoulder blades back when doing a press movement, you look them dead in the eye. I'm serious right now. I'm getting closer. You look them dead in the eye, locks flowing, you flick out of the way, and you say, look, although I appreciate your opinion, as I understand you were merely trying to help, I must reject said opinion because Harold from the screen I'm looking at right now, from TFNL, said to me, no thank you. He said, pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I want to be lifting the weights for as long as possible, hopefully for the rest of your life, I'm sure. Longevity is key. And also want to be maximising gains when reducing the risk of injury. So if you can lift more safely, why would you not want to do it? And if that individual is bench pressing with their shoulders flying forward as if they're going for a very aggressive hug, I'll tell you now, it's one day, there's a high likelihood of that individual absolutely ripping and tearing a muscle, and we do not want that. Oh, Sommer Ray, shop the booty bands are fit. Okay, Summer, what's this technique? It's a bit all over the shop. I feel like the booty bands are thrown into this less so to increase the effectiveness of the movement, but more so to plug an advert. Scapulas all over the place. Same applies to rowing. When you're doing a rowing based movement, although you want to get a good stretch, before you initiate the actual row, shoulder blades back, down, tuck it in, row with the elbows, keeping the upper arm close to the torso for the lat gains. It's a subpar combination of movements, I would say. I know Sommer Ray is a very popular individual, and she's obviously in fantastic shape, which I appreciate. She obviously gets a lot of people into the gym and encourages them to work out, which is bloody amazing. A lot of love for that. But I do question the workout quality. She doesn't post a lot of workout stuff on TikTok, but the things I have seen, I've really not been very impressed by. Really not very impressed, to be honest.
Bro's a PT yet he curves his lower back on deadlifts. You're right, and I'll fucking do it again. Because bending your back's an inevitable part of life, and it's not inherently dangerous.
There is a lot of debate surrounding how dangerous rounding your back on a deadlift can be. The spine naturally does curve. No, a rounded back on the deadlift is not a bad time, provided it is intentional and the angle is consistent. It is a bad time if it rounds due to fatigue or failure of the muscles or technical failure. Although I would recommend for most people, try and maintain a neutral spine. When I see a lot of these influencers and content creators rounding their back on the deadlift, it looks like they're doing so due to lack of tightness, which is therefore unintentional, or due to yanking themselves out of position by essentially yanking the bar. Therefore, it's a technical failure. You've got to be very careful with this sort of thing. If you ever see a individual fail a deadlift at the top, like the lockout, more often than not, you'll notice their upper back is rounded. So a lot of advanced deadlifters utilize this technique. So if you intentionally round the upper back, it often helps with speed off the floor. The trade-off to that is that you may struggle a lot at lockout. If you've got a rounded back, let's say I'm like this, I deadlift, I'm up. My hips are going through, but not only do I have to drive my hips through to lock out, I now have to pull my shoulder blades back and down to fully lock the rep out. So that is a contributing factor as to why those who intentionally deadlift with a rounded upper back usually struggle with the lockout portion of the deadlift. Pamela Reif. So we're going to have a gander. 21 Pilots, I'm a fan. I do appreciate their older stuff quite a lot. Train your booty without squats, lunges, lunges or jumps. Donkey kick, again, it's not one of my favourites for many reasons that I've covered beforehand. The hamstring curl, interesting one. So with this, the only booty work you're actually getting from this is essentially the maintenance of contraction from the working glute, in which it is holding the leg up, therefore it must contract, but you're actually not gonna get any hamstring benefit from this. From the full extension, when you're fully stretched out, there's minimal body weight resistance until about 90 degrees. As soon as it gets past 90 degrees to this point, gravity is doing the work for you. You need some resistance, and it needs to be resistance that takes you through a sufficient range of motion. Side lift pulses, again, it's just a contraction-based movement. Leg pulses, again, contraction-based movement. Okay, this is better. Single leg glute bridge, I am a fan. I think this is good, solid stuff. Probably the best movement of all the movements we've seen throughout this workout, and probably the only movement I would consider keeping. Maturing in the gym is realizing that Sommer Ray just has really good genetics and is in fact really bad at working out. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say that someone is bad at working out. Obviously, I know it's hard to say, and I don't want to be rude. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Never am. Realistically, regarding quality of workout footage that I have seen from her thus far, which again, granted is not a lot, I have been quite disappointed. And obviously, yeah, genetics do play a big part in this, unfortunately. So you can see someone who essentially works out really badly and the quality of their training is really not impressive, but they look amazing. That can largely be due to genetics, which is why I don't think physical appearance is always a good or accurate measurement of workout quality. So just because someone looks amazing doesn't necessarily mean what they're doing is amazing too. They genetically may be fortunate and may experience rapid growth in certain areas which may be desirable to you. Genetics do play a big role in fitness. That role is probably far more significant than many may realise. But that's it. That's the video. We've done a TikTok video. We've covered a few interesting things. We've covered a few interesting names. A few things did provide some pretty splendid information. A few TikToks maybe not so splendid, to be honest, but we will consider covering them in greater detail in the future if you so wish. Who knows? Let me know. But before we finish the video, you know what must occur. That's comment question of the week. For those of us who train without a training partner to spot us, is dumbbell press a good replacement for bench to allow us to train to failure? Absolutely. You don't want to bench to failure without a spot. A bit dangerous because obviously the bar gets stuck on you. You're flapping like a fish out of water trying to save yourself. So in that case, I would definitely say dumbbell press is a great alternative, because if you do fail, you can just drop the weight. Personally, I take all of the movements I perform to failure. My training is very much lower volume, higher intensity. Before doing so, I ensure that I can fail safely, i.e. I'm not stuck in a position where I need help to get out of, and it doesn't put me at risk of injury. There are fireworks going off. Why are there fireworks going off in September? What have I missed? Is it my birthday? It's definitely not my birthday. It's someone's birthday, in which case, why was I not invited? That's rude. Why not invite me to the party? I mean, probably wouldn't go anyway. I'm busy filming a video, but the invite would be nice. Okay, that's the video. If we could tickle 500 likes, that would be bloody marvellous. Please do consider clicking the red button down below, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even tickling the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. And if you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video for comment question of the week, drop it down below in the comment section and I shall do so. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating the business in the front, and thank you for tolerating the party in the back, and thank you for tolerating the video.